Samantha Engel.
And I'm Aaron Gullius, and this is Great Lakes Lore, and this is a special-ish Great Lakes Lore because it is what? It is one day removed from our 1-year anniversary of our first episode. Can I say dropping, or does that sound like I'm trying to be hip?
No, that's fine.
Okay. Appearing was released. Yeah, so it's a 1-year anniversary episode. And Samantha, how are you? Are you good?
I am good. I was like, whoa, you're just getting right into it here.
Before we hit record, we were both looking at the clock. It's like, we've got to get going. So yes, yes, but are you good? Everything good?
Yeah, I'm good. I am right now completely obsessing over the American Revolution again.
Nice.
And just want to take in like everything I can revolution related. And I actually said the other day to someone, I'm just really sad that I can't meet Thomas Jefferson. Like it's
relatable.
It is just a feeling of like, I mean, if you're a Patreon or a patron on our Patreon and you heard our top historical figures or top 5 historical figures, Jefferson is my top person. And I was just like, I just every once in a while, it's like, dang it, I just want to know him.
There's a, I don't know if I don't think there's an actual word for it, but there's a sort of like concept of nostalgia for an era you never actually lived in.
I don't even know that it's nostalgia. I want to know the people. Like, I just really want to know those people. And I know that they would probably make me angry. I have no nostalgia for an era that was filled with racism and sexism and smallpox and all those terrible things.
I was going to say, you probably wouldn't even be in the same room with them as a woman, right?
No.
So.
Well, he kept up some conversations with some different learned women and intelligent ladies. So I like to think that he could have had an affinity for me. But,
you absolutely would have been on his list, yes.
Mercy Otis Warren, Margaret Bayard Smith, Samantha Engel. There we go.
It's the Mount Rushmore.
Samantha Marie Engel. There we go. Well, give me a second name.
You needed 3 names.
I did. But that's completely not related to our episode. But I just felt I needed to share that.
Yeah,
I'm missing somebody I've never met before.
I have felt that way about Dwight Eisenhower. So I've had no like sort of fanciful, wistful missing an era I never met because I've been busier than a one-armed paper hanger with there's a folksy phrase for you with work stuff. And I was like, oh yes, history. What history do I love? Well, what history do I have to talk about at 12:30 this afternoon? And that's like ancient river valley civilizations, which are great, but not my thing, but it's the job. But so today on the episode, we decided for this anniversary extravaganza, we're going to do a couple things. We're going to talk about...
I think extravaganza is setting it up a little bigger than it might be.
No, I'm selling here, Sam. It's an extravaganza. We're going to talk about the last year, and then we've also got a preview of the Strange Realities Conference, which we are appearing at in all of our glory with Adam Sane of the Strange Realities Conference and the Conspiranormal Podcast.
Yes, I was going to say yes. And the name of the
podcast, and of which I'm a fan. And so we've got a lot to do. It's a different sort of episode, but it's fun. And let's get to it. I sort of came up with some questions for us to talk about. So I want to ask Sam.
You're just taking control of everything tonight, aren't you? Go ahead, ask me a question.
I'm the man who came up with the questions.
Oh, I thought you were just going to say I'm the man, and I was like,
no,
we're not going to say that.
I'm not the. I am not the Nature Boy Ric Flair. There's only one man, and that's the Nature Boy Ric Flair. As he would say, to be the man, you've got to beat the man. And I've not.
I'm going to ask the first question then.
Please do.
I don't know what's happening here.
Please.
Aaron, what was your favorite episode we've done in the last year?
There's a lot of them. We've done like 24, and I think it's got to be the Nain Rouge. I think the Nain Rouge was this ideal blend of folkloric, legendy story combined with some actual documented historical research that we did in kind of uncovering what the origins of that story was, with a dash of this is really weird and strange, and what's the deeper meaning of what people are actually talking about in the present day with this stuff. It just seemed to hit a lot of the little points that when we came up with the show, I thought would be fun to hit. So Nain Rouge is definitely the top of my list. Honorable mention, probably The Witch's Castle of Utica for many of the same reasons. Just sort of the blend of actual things that happened and historical, pseudo-historical stuff.
I'd say the Nain Rouge is definitely in my top 5, and I think because there's a cool folklore concept, a thing happening there, but I like how it allowed us to talk a lot more about Michigan history and the settling of this region and the different cultures that came together. I think that's what happens when these cultures and the stories from these different cultures blend, and then, you know, how can it be something weird done with it in later centuries. But yeah, I think, that's that for me. That's why that one's in the top 5. Not my favorite, but the top 5.
What is your favorite?
Mackinac Island.
Oh, yep. That,
I liked it because I felt like we did really good history work in looking at some of these like very false type ghost stories, and, you know, really sharing, you know, why that's not true, or getting a little angry that people are making things up when there's such a rich history, and talking about that rich history. I think that those are important conversations to have, because so many times I think people sort of pimp out the paranormal.
That's a great phrase.
Right? I just made that up.
Great phrase.
In order to sell tickets, get attention, whatever. And I think that the Mackinac Island episode really highlighted how an extreme bad way that can happen, with the story of the witches, you know, being drowned in, you know, near the Mission Point, where it's like, no, that wasn't even there. There's no pool to do that. That didn't happen there. And then the story that Claire, and I liked the episode too, because I loved having Claire on it. I like Claire a lot, and she's so fun and insightful, and
she knows so much.
Great person.
Just so knowledgeable.
And it was great having somebody on who has spent so much time on the island. And the story that she shared, and now I forget the name of the woman who she was talking about, whose story has really been really warped over time. But how she has this really cool story, but unfortunately there's this other bad tale that is shared that really doesn't highlight all the amazing aspects of her life. So I felt like that was like the good work of history, not good work as in like thorough research, but like a way that history can make a difference, and applying it to the paranormal. That's why I like that episode so much, and I love Mackinac Island. So
it was a great episode. It was really good, and I for the same I think so for the same reasons you do. So much investigation into real stuff versus what the marketplace has done to it. Yeah, absolutely.
And I always know, like, this is going to sound a little conceited, I think, and I don't mean it to come out that way, but whenever I have a sort of late in the game aha moment about how to reorganize a thing or reconceptualize a thing, that always means that there's like a really good thing happening. Because like, you know, we always start off, I mean, I even do this when I write different things for work, or it's happened with the presentation for the Strange Realities conference a little bit, where we have this idea of how a thing's gonna happen. Yeah, I even did this in college, and it drove my professors nuts. They're like, "You sure you want to change your senior thesis paper a month and a half into the semester?" I'm like, yes, I am.
Hell
but yeah, anyways, I don't know where I was going, but when I have those blah moments, that always means like a good thing is happening. So
it's, you know, it's always in my experience, it's the projects you care about the most where you have that kind of like flash of things. I mean, not
because you're
that
thinking about it enough
Right,
to like
right.
want
And-
to do something special. And so when you're able to like deviate from the earlier plan to do something cool, that means that like a cool thing really is going to happen.
Yeah, and a lot of times, like this is the way I feel about it anyway. Your subconscious knows that it could be better, and is sort of working on it in the back of your head. And
Or you're
then,
just
like,
finding new discoveries along the way
right,
that change
yeah,
things.
You find new sources or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So those are our favorites and things we loved, like unabashedly loved. Is there any episode or topic that we did where, in hindsight, you think we could have done something a little different?
You know, I thought about that, and I don't know that I have. I think I don't know how I would do some of this one episode in particular that I'm thinking of. I don't know how I would do it differently, but I wasn't super happy with the way it turned out, and that was the Wendigo episode.
Okay.
I think because there was so much more to it than I thought there would be going in, and we were doing like hardcore scholarly, like reading journal articles and stuff to get to what we were talking about, that it was far more than just like, here's this tale of this monster and how has it been warped by pop culture. Like there was just so many different pieces to it that when we were done, I felt like it was kind of like, well, I mean, we shared the story and that's important. But I don't know that we did it justice, because I don't think you could with like our timeline of research and when we have to turn things out. And I'm not a specialist in any of these kinds of things. So I'm not going to have that background knowledge that like someone who, you know, is in Indigenous studies or, you know, something like that would be able to have. So,
And I think a little peek behind the curtain, I think after the Wendigo thing, I think we were both a little dispirited with how, you know, just that like once we got into it, we're like, oh, we could have, you know, this should have been a whole series. You know, there's like so many avenues that weren't able to be explored.
I don't remember. What did we do after the Wendigo? Is that when we did the Nain Rouge?
We should know this.
I don't know. Here, let me quick look on my phone.
I don't know. Yeah, let's throw that in our Google machine. And scrolling.
Yep, it was the Nain Rouge next.
Nain Rouge.
So like I wasn't feeling we couldn't do something or like that. I don't know. I'm not explaining this well.
No,
I didn't feel like beaten down, but it was a good topic to tackle after doing that somehow.
Yeah.
I mean, because Nain Rouge is like deep too and deals with some big ideas, but it just wasn't as
complex. It's deep, but narrow.
Yeah, maybe
in a sense, instead of deep but broad, and with there's fewer massive implications and fewer massive like this region and that region, and it's a North American wide thing, and like Nain Rouge is very more localized, I think.
See, I didn't have a problem with that. It wasn't like geographically because it was so big. It was because there was like portrayals in literature by, you know, Native American authors. There were actual crimes where people were like killing people claimed to be Wendigos, or people actually, you know, going through some kind of psychosis and eating people, or like, but is it a psychosis? And you're dealing with, you know, mid 20th century sort of racist, you know, psychology theories. And there was just so many different pieces to this puzzle that's
a good point. I think the Wendigo episode was that was my answer to this question. It's the only episode, and this is my ego talking, it's the only episode where at a certain point I was thinking, I am in over my head. I do not understand. And I think it was, you mentioned journal articles. I think it's when I was reading the law journal articles about the Canadian court cases about Wendigo-based cases and tribal law that I was like, I am not qualified to talk about this.
And for me, it was when I found Wendigo psychosis that I was like, oh my God, now there's like this whole psychology.
We have moved beyond the realm of history and folklore and even literature, and we are into fields that I have not touched.
Yep.
Yeah, so Wendigo for me is the one where I don't know what we would have done different because we
I don't know.
We have the knowledge base we have. As far as doing something different, the Mad Gasser episode. I think if we would have done the Mad Gasser episode in our second 6 months rather than our first 6 months, I think we would have had the benefit of our ability to compress a lot of primary sources into a more streamlined narrative. I think when we did the Mad Gasser, I felt like we were getting kind of bogged down in, and then this news story, and then this news story.
Oh, I mean, because I guess I think I told you, I was like, I don't know, this seems a little hard to keep going with, but you were very interested in all those newspaper stories. Well, and I think there just wasn't as much the story was what was in the newspaper,
right?
And so that's all so I don't have any problems with that one.
I don't have a problem with it.
I think it would have been very short if we would have done anything different, though.
Yeah, I just, when I was editing it, I was just like, I needed about 6 more hours to think about how I structured some of the longer quotations. That it was more like.
And I was too timid to tell him not to do things at that point.
I think it was after this point where she became completely untimid about telling me how she wanted to do things.
Share my opinion very freely now.
Yes, very, very freely. I'm very timid. Whatever you want's fine. But no, I just think that. I think it was good. People seem to like it.
It was one of the so we tweeted out and asked what people's favorites were, and the Mad Gasser did come up from somebody as their favorite episode. Yeah,
it's a popular episode. The numbers are good, as they say in the number business. But I just there's something about it for me where I think even if we would have made it the 4th episode instead of the 2nd episode. I think it was complex enough that it would have benefited from us being more experienced in doing things how we do things, if that makes sense, which it probably doesn't. Yeah.
All right. Well, is there an episode that turned out better than you thought it would?
Belle Gunness.
Really?
Yes. I think Belle Gunness, I was, and this is because of the different roles we had in doing the prep and the research for Belle Gunness. I was read the big narrative books about Belle Gunness.
He likes to get books. I don't.
I'm a book
I don't have time for that.
I'm a book
I
guy.
like books, but I do not have. I don't have the time to commit in 2 weeks to reading a book for a topic.
I am, and I'm not, this isn't bragging, this is just the way my brain works. I am a freakishly fast reader. I am and I'm not saying I'm a thorough reader, but I can move some volume word-wise. So I'm the fast book reader guy. And I've got a flexible life for reading books sometimes. And since I read the Belle Gunness book, when we were working on it, the books I read on it were so detailed that I was terrified that we were missing stuff. I was just terrified that we weren't going to convey things, and I was worried about what I was forgetting. And, I was like, do we need to mention these 17 Norwegian guys that she wrote letters, and it was just, I was constantly second guessing myself throughout
and
that
see,
episode.
Since I only read shorter summaries online, I was like, this is great. Like, I think, we've got the gist of the story. And honestly, I think there were a few things that you were able to add from having read the book, but I think that even that reading the summaries, we still could have told a largely full story.
I think so.
Maybe
too.
you've learned your lesson.
I did. I did, and I went in for the I'm going to do some graduate level work on Belle Gunness here, and I psyched myself out on the Belle Gunness case, and which I've never done on any other episode. Every episode, I've been very relaxed about. We know what we know, and let's do
you were
it.
freaked out about Circleville, I think, a bit.
Well, Circleville messed with my head.
Because you also went down a rabbit hole and read too much. You see a pattern.
I read the entire PDF of that crazy guy's prison writings. What is wrong with me? Well, we know what's wrong with me. There's a lot wrong with me. But this was, and it turned out, I think Belle Gunness turned out great.
I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, I was thrilled.
I think I did some cool feministy things, and I would be very proud to share it with other ladies doing women stuff. Look at what I'm saying about this.
Yeah, and I was getting texts from friends who listen, and which I sometimes do about episodes. I was getting texts from people I really liked what you guys said about the feminist stuff, and I was like, so do I. That was not me. That was Sam. But and it's sort of another peek behind the curtain. I tend to be the granular detail person, and Sam tends to be the what is our theme sort of person, which is
I'm a big ideas person. I'm a big picture.
And in general, I am too, but sometimes the themes escape me and I get too focused on the detail, and I really like how you sort of hammer me about the skull and say, what is our angle here? What are we doing that is going beyond just telling the story somebody could read on Wikipedia? And I think that's important. And
because I guess sometimes when I think about it, and I think I had that moment with this one too, with Belle Gunness, as we were typing out things and filling in the outline, I'm kind of if we're just doing what somebody else has done, why are we am I spending my time doing this then? If all I'm going to do is rehash the outline of a story, because there are some podcasts that I've listened to that, I start off listening to it and then I quickly realize that they're just looking at the Wikipedia page of some haunting or some murder or whatever, and just giving me the cliff notes of a Wikipedia page. And it's no, I'm not. You people don't support this. This isn't special. I guess if you're doing super interesting editing or something, maybe it is, but I don't know. I come to podcasts to learn something deeper and meaningful that I couldn't find on my own, whether that be somebody's knowledge base or the perspective they bring to something. That's what I find interesting. And so that's what I hope people find interesting with us too.
I agree. And I think that it's, especially with some of the topics we cover. Sometimes we cover stories that have very rarely been talked about.
Yeah.
Other times,
Rattle Run. I like doing Rattle Run.
Rattle Run, Dungeons. Rattle Run was awesome. I love that one. Dungeon Swamp, which is, we might be the only podcast who's ever done a Dungeon Swamp. No,
because I listened to that one when we were getting ready for it.
Oh,
remember?
That's right.
So there's at least one other one.
We're the best podcast.
Yes. Yes. I really agree with that, because I didn't listen to the whole thing of the other
Swamp. one. But there's other topics like Belle Gunness, maybe the Whitechapel Club, some of the other more well-known things where
Nain Rouge.
Yeah, absolutely. Where we have something unique to bring to the table. And I
like to think so.
I don't think there's any question. We're brilliant, Sam.
And that's why I have a hard time finding good just haunting cases to share. When we did the Ghosts of St. Paul, the gangster ghosts of St. Paul, there were, I'm glad that we actually brought in this idea that like this could actually be a really cool like historic site to visit, and there's a way that you can share these stories and cash in on the gangster vibe, or whatever it is, without pimping out the paranormal, which I'm gonna say all the time now.
We need a t-shirt.
And I think with haunting cases, sometimes it's difficult. I don't know. Not too many of them have just called out to me like, this is something worth covering, because it's like, well, is it a big enough story? Is there something interesting that we can do with this? Because I don't want to just come here and tell you a spooky story. So
I was, this is going to sound very contrived, but I was thinking about, well, like topic rotation wise, we're about due for a haunting case. And
yeah, we are.
I was like, I'm sure
we'll find.
We will, but
there are good ones out there.
It's harder to find one to get a good handle on, like you said, that isn't just like people say that there's this ghost in this house. So it's I think the hauntings are the most challenging topic maybe to do something unique with.
Yeah, I mean, it takes, something where you can like look into whether or not the people, like, did these people really live here, or did they really do this thing? Is there, what are the dynamics? Like why, I mean, I guess the Dungeon Swamp one, like, obviously I knew that there was some kind of murder story involved, but I mean, that starts off with a ghost story. And then when you dig deeper, you find the deeper story. So it's finding the ghost stories with meat on their bones. As ghosts, ghosts have meat on their bones. We need the ghosts with the flesh.
Yeah. So as we wind up this part in the next few minutes, is there any lesson that you've learned? I think we sort of talked about that a little bit. Lessons that we've learned over the last year about doing a podcast?
Well, I think it's just... I mean, when we started off, I know we said, like, we want to share these paranormal stories from, like, a historical perspective. And I think that I'm not going to say finding our niche, because since we cover a wide array of topics, the niche can vary. Yeah. But I think us realizing that we want to share stories that have some kind of greater understanding, implication, lesson of whatever that might be to them, that is the thing that makes us want to do this, I think, is sort of what's been uncovered. And we didn't really do it intentionally, but I think after picking a few stories, a few tales, and then realizing like, no, this is what we want to make sure we're doing with these episodes.
Yeah, I agree. I think we found I think we started off sort of as a Great Lakes region paranormally sort of thing. And then I think we quickly realized our sort of historianishness needs to be to the fore. And then it sort of went from there, and in finding those angles. And I think, I'm not sure what I can add to the what we've learned idea beyond what you've said, other than, this is going to sound really weird, but the more people involved in making the podcast, the more work it is, just with coordinating things. Oftentimes I've been like, well, it's I do a podcast by myself, so doing one with another person should be half as much work. It might be twice as much work, actually, in some ways, but not in a bad way. Not in a bad way. I've been forced to look at things from perspectives I wouldn't have before, which is really nice. So I think it's been a good year, and I think let's do another. Let's do another. Sure, why not? Why not another year?
Yes,
why not? But hats off to you, Sam, for
thank you, and to you as well.
Thank you for your in particular, forcing me to think about things beyond the narrative and ideas of theme and thing. So I appreciate that.
Well, thanks.
And now
we have guests.
which is odd. We've never had guests sort of show up halfway through what we're doing on the show. But
interlopers.
We've got interlopers. I saw the little guest thing pop up. I was like,
oh, see, I didn't know all of a sudden they were there.
I've got the control panel here.
Right.
So I saw like Surfiel shows up. So we've got Adam Sane and Serfiel Stevenson from the Conspiranormal podcast, and more pertinently to our purposes tonight, the organizers of the Strange Realities Conference, which Sam and I are appearing at, to provide a preview of things.
Yes,
I should have had that. I should have had that written out because I had nothing beyond that.
Thanks for having
guys.
us.
No problem.
Didn't know that this was somewhat live.
Well,
yeah,
it's not live. We're recording, so there will be some editing. I mean,
Okay,
there won't be because we're really busy. But yeah, we decided, we could do this by combining these two things, and then we're only tying up one evening with recording, which is pretty handy. So, Adam, Serfiel, tell us about the Strange Realities Conference.
Well, first of all, thanks for having us on Great Lakes Lore this time.
And thanks to both of you for coming to this year's Strange Realities and speaking.
Yay.
Yes, thank you for having us there soon now.
Yeah, and about coming up in almost 3 weeks as of this recording. So, I know.
Yes.
I know.
Suddenly it is upon us.
Don't worry, I've been working on the presentation.
Yes, we've been
Good.
Good. Let's say we've been working. She's been working.
I've been working.
I've been putting in a lot of mental work on the presentation. Yes.
Excellent. This is, of course, the 4th annual. And Aaron, you've been a part of every one since the 2nd, I believe.
Right.
Have I? Oh, yeah. I was because the first year I did it, I was remote. And
everybody was remote. Yeah.
Everybody's remote.
Right.
And then last year I was there in person at in Nashville. So yeah, it's a great event, and if people don't know, it is available online and streaming, and some of the speakers will be live. Most of the speakers will be there live in Nashville.
Yeah,
some will be presenting remotely, but everybody remotely can receive the wisdom that will be presenting, which is like the one good thing to come out of the COVID era, I think, is this normalization of remote presentations and streaming events like this. I think it's really great.
Well, we do this at a place called SIR Nashville, and that's where we've done it all 3 years that we've done it, except of course the 2021. But in that time, they, because of COVID and everything, they put in like kind of the infrastructure apparatus, I guess you could say, in order to live stream, because they're primarily really a band rehearsal studio. And so that's what they were doing. A lot of bands were doing that at the time during COVID. And so now they have the way to actually just stream everything. Modems in every single room and all that. So we have what we need to do it there, and which was an added bonus in just doing it we called it a hybrid thing last year. And I guess it's still kind of a hybrid thing between the person actually being there like you were last year and then being able to watch it online. So SIR kind of gives us everything that we need to get this done. So
it's a lot cooler environment than your usual hotel ballroom or something like that. Yeah. It's a lot more rock and roll.
I will say, if you go to Nashville live, you will have to fight me for the big comfy couch to sit on, as opposed to the sort of plastic and metal chairs. I sort of staked out like a corner of the nice comfy couch. I will be staking out the comfy couch again.
You're just laying across the couch in the back while
y'all are gonna have to fight me for that couch.
There's usually some coffee ready and refrigerators full of beer and some BYOB, and people can kind of just hang out all day, and a little more relaxed and rock and roll atmosphere than most paranormal conferences, I'd say. So we have a lot of fun.
I went to the Ohio MUFON conference a few weeks ago, and I'm just looking forward to being at a place where I am not the youngest one in the room at the age of 46.
Well, you're bringing me, so you know.
I'm bringing Sam, so there will be somebody younger than me there. So it's.
I can guarantee you there will be younger. There will be younger. So I can guarantee you.
But not too much younger. I don't like these kids. But I'm
get off our lawn.
I'm kidding. I am for the children. So, so who all is speaking at this extravaganza?
Well, we've got a really good lineup this year, and we've kind of divided it between speakers and then just like three workshops that are going to be done too. Those are going to be done in the main room as well. But I can tell you really quick who we've got coming up this year. I'll just go down the list. Steve Berg.
Oh, yeah.
Who is pretty well known in voice acting world. And he's really gotten into the paranormal and really has been into it his whole life. But since he moved to Omaha, moved to Omaha, Nebraska, where he's from, he's going to be doing a presentation about Nebraska and some of the weird kind of cryptids that are there and some of the weirdness that he's
cool.
So if you want to know about the weird stuff that goes on in Nebraska, that would be the place to go.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I didn't know there was a weird Nebraska.
There is a weird Nebraska.
Strange Reality is always bringing new, fresh paranormal content.
Don't even think that Nebraska really exists. But
I was going to say I thought it was just abolitionist propaganda that Nebraska was a thing, but sort of a deep antebellum cut there.
It goes all the way back to the Kansas-Nebraska Act. Is that what you're saying?
Don't get me started on the Kansas-Nebraska Act. I got a whole thing about it. So.
Well, you can just blame Steve. We'll just blame Stephen Douglas. How about that?
Come to Nashville, corner me, give me a beer, and I will give you my Lecompton Constitution spiel, and it will be glorious. Sam, you can pitch in with the Lecompton Constitution if you want.
No.
Yeah.
Nope. I don't blame you. It's a shady subject.
It is.
And very boring.
Yeah. Micah Hanks, he's not actually going to be there, but he's going to be doing a remote presentation for us. Micah had a little bit of a conflict that he couldn't get out of for the weekend, but he's still going to be doing a remote presentation. Saturday night, we're going to headline it. Well, really the last speaker, but really the headliner is John Tenney.
Nice.
Who you guys know.
Yeah, Michigan Zone.
Of course, yeah, Michigan Zone. And,
he's a great Laker.
Ghost Stalkers fame. And Adam Gorightly is going to be there. The man you said is a national treasure.
National treasure.
Really looking forward to this. He's actually, we talked last night, and he's actually going to be doing a presentation about James Shelby Downard and some of the research that he's found out about that. And he says that he would not go any further. So it's like, if you want to know
exclusive,
what's some more, if there's anything else to know about James Shelby Downard, this man definitely knows it. So if you want to know, then you need to come to Strange Realities or join us online. And of course, your favorite podcaster, Aaron, Tim Banal.
Yes.
is gonna be there as well, and he is going to be doing something about I think it's the Yuba 5, I believe.
Yeah.
Or Yuba 7. He's actually going to go first on Friday. Christopher Ernst, who is a filmmaker and a good friend of ours as well. And he's going to be speaking on Saturday, but he is also on Friday night going to be presenting a film that he's done about Soraya Askath.
Oh.
And he told me the name of the film. I'll try to pull it up here in just a little bit. But he's going to be we're going to be presenting that film at the end of Friday night. And Soraya is going to be remotely put in, and we're going to do a little question and answer, I think, session.
Okay.
Well. I think the film is about 70 minutes.
Will people who are streaming be able to view this film too?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
We'll have it on one of our computers and stream it out. So
great.
So everybody will get to see. We'll get to see everything. We've got Mr. Recluse from the Farm podcast. He is also going to be there. And Nathan Isaac from Penny Royal. Melody Blackthorn, who is a good friend of ours, fan of our show. She's going to be doing something about the Bell Witch.
Ooh.
And some interesting research that she's
Cool.
and a new way of looking at it that she's done as well. Timothy Renner is going to be doing the very end on Sunday. He's going to be doing a remote presentation. And Delaney Bowers, she's a folklorist. She lives in Somerset, Kentucky now, but she's going to hopefully she's going to be doing something more about folklore.
I really enjoyed when you had her on your episode.
Yeah, that was
so
a
I'm looking
great
forward
episode.
to it a lot.
Is
or
she
on
gonna
your
talk-
podcast, yeah.
Is she going to talk about her pro wrestling project she did? Because that's what I want to know about. Is
I have
when
a
she
funny-
talked about that's.
Sam's not interested in the wrestling.
I am going to corner her and ask her about the pro wrestling.
You should. I have a funny story about that actually, Aaron. An interesting synchronicity or coincidence, I guess you could call it. I guess more of a coincidence. When I had Delaney on, I worked with this guy. He doesn't work there anymore, but I worked for several years with this guy that does kind of the amateur wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And him and his wife worked with me as well.
Is it professional amateur wrestling? Now?
It is amateur professional wrestling.
Amateur professional.
Right. It's kind of like the Southern Circuit, you know.
Indie wrestling is
Right.
I think,
Okay.
technically
so
what you should call it. Yeah.
She looks at me and she says, "Oh, you had just had someone that interviewed my husband on your podcast."
Oh,
and
wow.
I was like, who? And then I realized that Delaney had done this project,
Mm-hmm.
and she had actually interviewed this guy that I worked with.
Oh wow.
So, small world.
Cool.
We've also got Olaf Phillips going to be there this year.
Okay.
And David Metcalf is going to be doing a remote presentation.
On titled A True Story, Hybrid Narratives, Gothic Horror, and the Contact Experience.
Yeah.
Oh.
Interesting.
So he's really framing a lot of these, Communion and Whitley Strieber's books in the context of horror instead of sci-fi that the alien abduction themes are usually placed in. So that should be pretty cool.
Well, it makes sense since Strieber was a horror novelist.
Right.
Novelist, he emphasizes, person who writes fiction. Sorry, editorializing there. Be interested to talk to Metcalf about this.
And we've got workshops by Kiki Dombrowski, Michael Hughes, and Ren Collier.
Nice.
And Kiki's going to be doing a tarot workshop. Mike is going to be doing something similar to that. So it's going to kind of blend into each other a little bit.
I think Kiki talked about it's going to be a lot of different crafts with
right.
divination, DIY divination crafts.
Yeah. And
Interesting.
Mike is doing the tarot workshop.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. And then
It's right up my creepy DIY alley. So.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
So it'll be like construction paper and scissors.
It's
and-
like handcrafted embroidery and divination, you know.
So you want to be there for that one, definitely.
Yes.
And then we've got Ren going to be doing he's going to be doing like a cult ritual. He's going to talk about it on Friday night. And then I think it's something that's going to be like a 10, 15 minute thing that we're going to probably do on Saturday morning.
a real live occult ritual.
No, that sounds terrifying. Yes.
There you go. Well, we did one last year. I mean,
Yeah.
Alan Greenfield did one last year.
Alan Greenfield performed that primordial version of the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram that he rediscovered when he was in Israel. So that was pretty special.
And then
I think I do remember that. Yeah.
We've got two people. We've got two more people. We got your co-host Samantha, Aaron.
Yeah. Yes.
and the star of Great Lakes Lore, Samantha.
Yes.
We'll be there.
Samantha and her sidekick Aaron.
No.
Yes. And we're going to be presenting about what are we presenting about?
Well, we are presenting about our very first episode, which was released a year ago yesterday.
Yes.
About the Dungeon Swamp murders. And today I found a plat map, and I was so excited. So there is a plat map in the presentation, and as a historian, that just makes my little heart go pitter patter. So
what is a plat map?
Oh, the plat map. It shows land ownership, like who's owning what plots of land inside of. This is for the Goodwell Township, which is where the dungeons lived. So it maps out all of the land they owned, the neighbors that they had fights with, and all that kind of stuff.
And my response when I saw the plat map was a very erudite. I really like the kind of handwriting they use to label things.
Oh, yeah.
It's really cool, which it is. Yeah. I mean, when you think about maps being like with people's names written out in a way that's legible, that's pretty astounding. As somebody whose handwriting is completely illegible, I always find that pretty fascinating. But we've got some great angles on the topic that we've discovered since we did our initial research. But if people who are there who haven't heard our episode, they will not miss a beat, and it's going to be nice and inclusive and all encompassing.
Yeah, I mean, we're structuring it in a way so that like we're giving out enough information in the presentation so that whoever's there who hasn't heard will understand what's happening. But if you have heard, there's going to be new stuff going on. So, and then we'll, of course, if you want to hear more, go listen to our episode. So, nice way to plug that too. But yeah,
if I'm remembering correctly, you guys are going to be really contrasting the legend versus the primary source stuff and kind of retracing how the legend might have really developed and gotten started. That's going to be really cool.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, we're really sort of putting our historian hats on for this, so it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
And you guys are going to be speaking at 7:30 to 8:30 Central Time on Friday.
Nice.
All right.
Prime time.
And
So
the reason I say Central Time is because obviously we want to have people view this online. So, depending on what time zone you're in, just kind of calculate.
But of course, it all is recorded. So if you attend online or in person and you want to recap something you might have missed, you will have access to that stuff. I think everything but anything that the speakers do not want to include, including possibly the movie about Soraya, may have to be viewed live. Live in person or online.
Well, it'll still be, it'll still be protected anyway.
Yeah.
So so the way we're doing this, there's a private Facebook group that you get that whenever you get your ticket, you'll have the link, and I am actually sending out links every week so people to remind people to get into that group. So if you bought a ticket already, please online ticket or in-person ticket, please get into that group. But that's going to be how it's going to be viewed. And then for people that don't want to use Facebook, we do have another option, but they just need to let us know about that.
Great.
Cool.
Great. Yeah. You don't need any special software. You don't need anything weird. It's websites and services that 99% of all humans who would be listening to this use already. It is one of the easiest things to hook into that I've ever seen.
Excellent.
Yeah, and this is just going to be like every year, this kind of like our dream conference that we've put together, everyone who we would want to see, all the things that we're interested in, and it's going to be really fun. I don't know of any other conference that really puts all of these type of minds and subjects together like ours does.
It is a definite meeting of the minds.
It is. And I was going to say that one of the things I like about it is no matter what you're interested in, if you're interested in anything even remotely fringy, there is something in this that will interest you. It's not just a UFO conference. It's not just a cryptid conference. It's not just a woo-woo paranormal conference or a conspiracy conference. There's a little bit of everything. There's even some actual, straight narrative history research telling. I know me and Sam. I don't know English. The presentation that Sam and I are doing and Tim Binnall's presentation are very much in the straight, reportage, looking at the records and sources sort of things, all the way to let's all do an occult ritual for 15 minutes. It's the entire gamut. Yeah.
And the Bell Witch.
And the Bell Witch, which is local. So
looking forward to
it
that.
is a local.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing Adam Gorightly, who is a national treasure.
Yes.
Which that's not an exaggeration. I've been a fan of his before I started doing almost any of this. So it's very much a thrill.
Our favorite be there. Self-identified crackpot historian.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, as opposed to Sam and me. Who are
you straddled the line, I think. No, I'm kidding.
So am I a historian of crackpots, or am I a crackpot who's a historian?
Oh, maybe you are a historian of crackpots. That might be a way to look at it.
See, that's how I think Gorightly is a crackpot historian. I am a historian of crackpots. So that's the and Sam's a historian, sort of unqualified. Not unqualified. I mean,
I'm an unqualified historian.
A historian with no qualifiers, I guess is grammatically what I'm saying. I was thinking she's an unqualified. She just sort of snuck
she's an unqualified crackpot.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
No, that's me. I'm a crackpot, but I'm not really crazy. So that's I don't have any credibility with that.
There we go. Well, I'm looking forward to it. It's my first time being there. There's a lot of folks who I interact with on Twitter and different things who I'm very much looking forward to meeting them. So
good. Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Aaron. Sorry.
No, this is just how I look. Yeah. Go ahead. I wasn't going to say anything.
Well, just to let everybody know, tickets are still available. Tickets for both online and in person. You can find the tickets at strangerealitiesconference.com, and the dates are October 14th through the 16th. We're basically going to be doing a Friday evening and all day on Saturday and most of the day on Sunday. The prices are $70 for in person. That's for the whole weekend, and $30 for the online stream. We also, for people that may be in the Nashville area or Middle Tennessee area or in Tennessee, period, if you guys, once you just come out for a day, we do have $30 single day tickets as well. So if you want to come out just on Saturday, you'll just pay $30. But if you wanted to pay all 3 days that way, it would be $90. So to be there all 3 days, you only have to pay $70. So you get $20 discount. So that's how that works.
So just pay the $70, and just sleep in your car in the parking lot and come back the next day.
And you don't have to do all that math.
Don't do math. Just buy for the whole weekend. It's right. It's easy.
Exactly.
And we'll make sure to put a link to the website to purchase the tickets on our website page for this episode. So people will be able to find it there.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you guys for having us.
No problem. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks for coming on and for having us back.
Yeah. Thanks for doing it.
It's going to be fun.
StrangeRealitiesConference.com.